We are on and things are getting started. I want to thank everybody that are slowly popping in. I'm excited to see who else comes in. And Krys, if you're ready, I'm ready too. All right. Well,
Yeah, we're good. Let's roll.
okay, perfect. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that's here. I also want to thank everybody who is watching on the live stream of YouTube. I'm Kelly Boyer, and I am the host of SheRises, Amplify, and Thrive live speaker series. And in this series, every month, we are bringing to you just this amazing lineup of just spiritual masters, healers, holistic healers, thought leaders that are just bringing everybody just inspiring information and wisdom and messages that hopefully when you tune in, you all get to walk away with something really profound. And plus, every time that you choose to sign up or work with one of our healers or want to have one of their gifts, their donation gifts, it is helping women in underserved communities really step into their own empowerment through their own leadership and also through entrepreneurship. So really excited. I'm really excited to have you here today, Krys. Because like I told you before we hopped on, I've been following your journey.
Mhm.
I truly believe that you have something very unique and profound to just share with the entire world. And I really want to help you get out there and do that because
Thank
they need
you.
to hear it. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so just a little bit about you. You are the founder of Cosmic Frequency. You really help souls expand awareness beyond new age propaganda. Your teaching is on ether physics, and you offer keys to true spiritual freedom and holistic growth. You've been featured on Gaia TV and other spiritual platforms, and you share insights that strengthen inner foundations for transcendental growth and yet also for a grounded life. So I'm like, does that sound good?
Awesome. That is spot on. Yeah. Really
Beautiful.
sweet and to the point. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Okay. So today I'm really excited because we're going to talk about holistic spirituality and ether
Mhm.
physics. And I'm just going to kind of hand it over to you right now just to kind of explain a little bit more about you and to share, and we'll just have a beautiful dialogue. So it's all
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly. As I said before we started officially, thank you for your endeavor to help women and really just people in general, right? Come into greater versions of themselves. I think you found a creative way to get your message out as well. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. And thank you all for being here who are watching the recording later on. And those of you who are here live, I appreciate you all. And yeah, so I'm Krys, Krys Rael in some circles, I guess you could say. And yeah, my work is really designed to help people have a more grounded but transcendental spiritual experience. And I do this through teaching something called ether physics. And ether physics is the study of consciousness or the medium that sustains and animates everything. So I'm always learning and growing because the source or the principle is a never ending experience. But I just so happen to be an adept at explaining some of the phenomena that we have in our lives that people would consider magic or paranormal even. But I have this ability to go into these, you could say, higher realm meditations and learn all this really complicated stuff, and then bring it back here in a grounded way to deliver a message. So that's what I'll be doing today. I have an online Cosmic Academy that we just relaunched 2 days ago, actually. Yeah, so March 12th. So we just relaunched, and that is a whole five, actually about 9 level academy that starts from just basic health all the way to learning things like teleportation, astral projection. So it gets really in depth. So uh, yeah, and then I have a private Facebook group. Those are my two main focuses right now: is the academy and the private Facebook group. So
Oh, I love it. Yes. You know what? I did take a look at your website just before we connected because before you I saw, like, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, I'm like, he's made changes to his academy. But like, 'cause
Hmm.
before it was the Jedi, you had like
Hmm.
the Jedi training
Right.
stuff.
Yep. 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 It all changed. Yeah. The Jedi training's still in there. And that's a part of the ether physics. But I just added things on what I call like ether phase shifting or invisibility. And these are really high level functions of the soul. But a lot of people think this is just saved for Marvel movies or, you know, Harry Potter or something. But these are things that we can actually do when given the right atmosphere. So I do my best to provide that atmosphere for people to really progress in that way. So
All right. Well, I'm
yeah.
like, you piqued my interest now. So, without taking away from what they can learn from their academy, because obviously there's going to be a lot of really good information on that. But can you
Hmm.
talk a little bit more about that? Because, often people do think that, it only happens in the movies or,
Mm.
in make believe. And, we have women on here. So for women, it happens in fairy tales, right? For
Hmm.
us, that's
Hmm.
what we grew up in
Right.
with. So, I love that you have the ability to be able to explain it, like you said, in a more grounded way, and
Hmm.
to make it real, like to
Right.
allow people to understand that it really is a real thing.
Yeah.
Um, would you be willing to elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So in short, it's like if we go with what you're just saying, like, there's women on here, women in the past have been uh treated unfairly because of their ability to tap in to the ether, to the source, and really bring information that was helping, or healing. Witches and all that were really just women who knew how to work with the natural world, right? They would have medicinal protections that they would do to heal all kinds of things. And so that was nothing other than just learning how to listen to nature as a woman and then hear what she was saying, trusting intuition, putting together the herbs and putting together the things found in nature to provide some sort of remedy, but that challenged the status quo at the time, right? And in some ways it still does.
Yeah.
Because so I use that example of women in this way because that's one example of the fairy tale of Snow White, the fairy tale of so and so. If that's mine, I apologize. I don't know. There was like some ping or something.
Oh.
You didn't hear. Great. So we are taught that magic is something that is fanciful, something that is outside of us, and it's saved for Hollywood. But what's happened is the real things, the real tangible spiritual things have been confiscated into one nice little group called science fiction. Science fiction is not there, it is there for entertainment, but it's also there for narrative control. It's there to help mitigate your consciousness so that you don't expand into seeing what is science fiction as science fact, right? Because what's factual about this reality is that it's malleable. I mean, look at any science fiction book or novel or movie. All those functions are just a byproduct of understanding a couple simple things about reality. Or one of those things just being your thoughts and how powerful they are, but also how a thought generates a gravity well or gravity field or flow of consciousness that then generates like there's a whole process to it, but it's real. So yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, no, no. I'm totally following you. I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that you said science fiction with science facts. So,
Mhm.
just kind of staying along the lines on the same conversation. I mean, I do love science fiction, but
Mhm.
when I look at it, I'm not looking at it. I mean, I guess I want to watch it for the enjoyment, but like I'm watching it, I think nowadays for more information coming
Yes,
forward about
exactly.
reality, about what is truly real.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I noticed that it's becoming a little bit more and a little bit
Hmm.
more, and I think that even though they still kind of call it science fiction, I think people um who are awakening, who are coming more into understanding that there is more to this world
Mhm.
than what we've been originally taught in that narrative, that I just feel like maybe there's a little bit more secrets that are coming out, and you see them and you're like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
there is some secrets being revealed in here,
Right.
um, which I find really fascinating. So
It's
yeah.
for me, that's one of the reasons I love movies so much, is because the general population watches a movie for entertainment purposes only. That's the phrase, right? You make a YouTube video that has some sensitive content, and you have to say this is for entertainment purposes only. Why? Why? Because what's in that movie or in that show or in that series is facts about reality. But if the average Joe walking down the street knows that they can teleport, there's trillions of dollars out the window for the car industries, you know?
Right.
And so what we're really dealing with isn't the impossibility of these things, but the controlled narrative of them. And that's something that I think my work is here to do, is to give people a choice point now, right? It's like um a good example is like Avatar, not Avatar the blue people, but like Avatar Aang, the water benders and the earth benders and the air benders. I practice hydrokinesis, aerokinesis daily. I teach my kids this too, because this stuff, it's just a matter of knowing how to work with your aura, right? Knowing how to work with your how to manage your frequency, right? And so it's like when people really grasp what they're seeing in these science fiction shows is really the truth being fed to them in a narrative that can be controlled, then they start to see how free they've always been. And then you got to decondition yourself, reprogram your mind. But hey, we got services not for all that, right? So
Right. I'm like, there is
yeah,
somebody out there for you.
there's someone out there for you, exactly.
For
But
sure.
yeah, I think you're spot on to watch things now for not entertainment, but it's like, okay, what have they taken from the truth and now put it into the show that they're showing back to me, right? And then how can I integrate that into my everyday life, which is part of what I teach people, how to make these concepts relatable, tangible, and applicable to what they're doing, not just like sitting in meditation, which is nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time, but there's a real function to knowing how to manage your energy.
Hmm. It's the action side of it, right?
Yes.
Of integrating it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I agree. Med, Meditation is really important. It helps you center, but then what do you do after that? Like
Exactly.
there is an action side to that. And I'm like, if anybody knows you, all these people on this call do know who I am. They
Mhm.
know that I'm all about action. Like I'm very action
Mhm.
oriented. Like especially when I learn a concept and I've now integrated it, I am always like, let's put it into action. Let's make it work.
Right. Well, because that's like here's a really good example is like people think that the astral realm is something other, something like over there beyond them, but it's something tangible, right? It's really just frequencies and thought patterns that aren't localized to where you're at. That's all it is. It's basically, if I think of a mountain right now, that's happening in the astral. But then I get in my car and I drive to that mountain, then it's not in the astral, right? So
Mhm.
it's like we can make like reality is actually, you could say it's all astral, all spiritual, or all physical. Because once you start to learn how to truly materialize your life, you realize that it's not really the outside world that changes, it's you. And then you start to project and interpret a different um, experience for yourself. So, one day, Kelly, you had an idea that you wanted to do talks with people. That was in the astral. It was just floating and you picked it up and you're like, hey, let's do this. And then you integrated that thought, took the physical action, and then here you are, right? So it's like there's that level, but you can also do this on a very high level. Like, yeah, like this, you can learn to levitate, teleport, all this stuff with your physical body. The physical body is not the limitation of you. The limitation is the thoughts and ideas that we've been told that this is science fiction. It's saved for the spiritual masters or the gurus or the ascended masters, and it's not. These are basic functions of the human consciousness, and I think that is so important to like bring back to the forefront of like spirituality versus just like, ah, I feel good. My emotions are settled. It's like, yes, great. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm not. But it's like, I think for me personally, that's just my focus is to help people also understand that, yes, settle the emotions, settle the mind, purify the body, but the journey just does not stop um there's more to it.
Yes, I'm like you're speaking my language
Yeah,
right
good.
there. I do agree. Like it is important, right? That we do the deconditioning because that's really what that
Mhm.
healing is about, and really
Yes.
understanding how our emotions not only affect us on the microcosm, but also on a macrocosm. But like we also need to also understand, again, it goes back to that action. Like there's just so much more to the I was going to say to our world, but like it really
True.
is our
Yeah.
world that of stuff that we can do.
Hmm.
Um, I remember the first time, I don't even remember where I heard it. But I was on YouTube, I was watching a video, and the person that was on there was talking about how we truly are so powerful.
Hmm.
From a young age, we often hand over that power, but once we take that back and we really see the expansion and the multidimensionality that we truly live in, we truly are such powerful beings. We
Yeah.
can materialize, we can manifest whatever it is that we're
Hmm.
wanting to do. So, not that I want to share a story about myself, but taking
Go for
that
it.
in,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that sounds so cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Like, why not? I have nothing to lose. And I do remember that's when kind of like my ability to like actually astral travel started
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm.
And then I was like, this is amazing. Like I really can teleport or go
Hmm.
anywhere that I
Exactly.
want to be. And then that's when I think that's when I realized I'm like, a lot of the stuff information that we get really is stuffed down to keep us in this
Yeah.
box.
It's it's narrative control. That's it. Because when we look at things like, yeah, from a cosmic point of view, the Earth itself is intentionally kept in a certain frequency, right? And people talk about leaving the matrix, and it's like I see it as you don't ever leave the matrix. You actually graduate. You start to see it for what it is. You no longer hold resentment towards it. It's like, okay, cool, you got me, but hey, I'm good now. Like I
Right.
have remembered, I've realized, and I have discovered my own consciousness, and I'm powerful. It's like so from there, things like astral projection become just a part of your sleep pattern and routine, right? So I was just talking to someone about how important sleep is. They were like, "Oh, I had this astral attack last night." And I was like, "You didn't, but I can see how you think that. But what happened was you were in sleep paralysis, which is a basic function of the human biology. And then what you because she was like, I could hear myself breathing and all these things. And it's like, yes, but it's also you became aware during your REM sleep. And so it's like when you break things down into these tangible functions versus like these airy fairy ideas, you can really see how um, reality it's expansive, but it's also very chill and grounded too. Like there's an explanation for things. It's not like magic to me is just knowledge that has not been understood or applied. Once you understand the knowledge, it becomes science, right? So it's like, yeah, yeah, I could go on and on about this. Yeah, but I'm gonna pause.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm like, I'm like, so this explains why I was so drawn to you. Cause, I mean, I love the idea of magic, but I agree. Like, I feel like we do have explanations for
Hmm.
everything to really make
Hmm.
it grounded, especially,
Exactly.
for those that are, I'm going to say that are just kind of coming into this and really just kind of discovering it, having a grounded approach to that can really help them
Yes.
integrate so much easier than and
Well,
I'm not gonna lie, like I like to play in the woo world too
of
of
course, no, that's my jam, but
yeah, but for somebody who either like really doesn't understand it, might be scared of it,
yes,
these
exactly.
these grounded, these grounded I don't want to necessarily say theories, but these the truths of
Hmm.
it, these
Hmm.
grounded truths is what I'm
Hmm.
being told to call it,
There you
can
go.
really help bring somebody forward to then, like you said, you know, when we step into our consciousness, like we literally, once we understand the ability of our consciousness and owning it, like that is where our true power is.
Exactly. Yes.
And and to me, all of that, it's just so fascinating and so amazing. And I'm like, why did I live in this bubble for so long? Um,
It's okay.
but yeah, but it's all in the right timing, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your thoughts and sharing that information on that. So I do want to talk a little bit more about ether physics
Hmm.
versus regular physics and the difference in all of that. We may have talked a little bit more about that, but I would love to talk about that in more detail and have you share your knowledge on that with
Yeah.
everyone that's watching.
Yeah. So get ready, get your tinfoil hats on. No.
Yes.
You can wear them. I mean, your hair is an antenna anyways. So, so ether physics versus traditional physics. When I say traditional physics, I'm talking about things like E equals mc squared, that, gravity is basically a warp or a pull of a planet that, that Einstein talks about. That's the traditional physics that we're taught. We're taught light years, E equals mc squared, theory of relativity, and all those things are based in Newtonian philosophy, which Newton, like that whole science itself was again a control mechanism to give people a little bit and make them basically just to excite their imagination, but not really give them freedom. You see what I'm saying? So when we're in school systems, we go to higher education programs, the traditional colleges and stuff, they're not giving you the true frameworks of reality. If they were, the world would be so vastly different. We would not have as many questions. And there's a thirst, there's a drive from the human soul to want to expand. And so sooner or later on our path, we get frustrated because what we learned is not fitting how we feel inside. So what's the dissonance here, right? So a lot of people go to religion, they stay in there for a little bit, and that doesn't really fit either. They're like, this feels something's still missing because you're dealing with um, psychological and emotional control mechanisms to keep you from realizing your true potential. The ether, that word itself, was replaced by quantum physics, which is a word that modern science is now using because modern science, regular physics, does not talk about the ether because to them, the ether doesn't exist. Why wouldn't the ether exist? Because it is the only thing that is actually the real thing, which is like it's a field of pure potential, right? So table that for a second. Let's get back to regular physics. Quantum physics even is a catchphrase that's okay to say in the eyes of traditional scientists and even you could say fringe science. You see, all they're trying to do is they're trying to they want to open up to the spiritual community and the people who are awakening. So they want to seem like they're expanding, and so they say quantum physics instead of typical physics. But even in quantum physics, they still think that there's a God particle. They still give you these half truths. So then we have ether physics, which is the study of the field itself, which is really studying yourself, your consciousness, how your energy operates, right? What is time? What is gravity really? These are the deep questions that are answered through ether physics. And so as a ether physician, I'm not relying on anyone outside of me to give me the answers. I study it myself as the first teacher and the first student, right? So from there, I've developed a basic principles of ether physics, which I don't know if it's too early to say that, but it's I've developed different principles of how to study the ether that make it super tangible. And through ether physics, I understand things like time travel, how teleportation works. I understand things like um, telepathy, telekinesis. This is all practical and applicable methodology that traditional science is like, oh, maybe we can teleport. Let's we teleported one particle to here. It's like, oh my God. So that's the short version. One, the traditional physics is studying, they're not studying, they're a control mechanism. Ether physics is the study of the ether, of the source, of the principle that sustains everything. And it's a growing field. It's not something that it has a cap, right? It's like you awaken to it, then you start to figure a couple of things out, like, okay, that fits here, that explains that. And you just keep going on the journey with it. Versus traditional physics, it's like, okay, time is a constant. It moves in a straight line. It's like, no, time is not constant at all. Because if I'm in the bathroom and you Kelly have to go to the bathroom really bad, I'm taking my good old time in there. To you, it's going to seem like it's taking forever, right? For me, I'm going to be like chilling, like, okay, right? So just in that simple everyday example, time is different for you than it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's ether physics methodology versus traditional science, which would say it's been 5 minutes. It's like Kelly's like, no, it's not. It's been like 20. I need to go.
I'm like, it's been
It's
days.
been
I'm still
days.
standing out here waiting.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Oh, I love the way that you explained it. Because I experienced that like a lot with my son when
Mm-hmm,
so full transparency, he loves to go to Dunkin' Donuts when he comes
mm-hmm,
to visit.
mm-hmm.
And I sit there and I tell him, okay, just a second, I'm just finishing something up. And he'll come back around the corner and be like, oh my gosh, you've been doing this for like ever. It's been like an hour. And I look at
Mm-hmm.
the clock and it's been, like you said, it's been like 5 minutes.
But he really feels that.
Yes,
He really feels that.
like so intensely. And he's like, come
Yeah.
on and hurry up. And
Yeah.
then, I tell him, well, just give me like a few more minutes. And it's like I actually can feel like the torture of
Mm-hmm,
it happening because he does feel it so strongly.
mm-hmm.
So I absolutely agree with that. I did the traditional schooling. I went through university and everything.
Me too.
I
And religion.
Yeah, yep. And I even, my undergrad was I went to a Christian college and
Oh wow.
I'm surprised that they didn't kick me out.
How in the world did you escape, Kelly?
It was
Kidding.
interesting. But but I agree with that. Like you use the word, they put like a cap on it. It was kind
Mm-hmm,
of like they would take you so far and then it was like you would get cut off.
mm-hmm,
And I've always been curious. Like I've always been a very curious person. Like I'll research stuff. Like I want to just know more. And I would ask them questions that you could see it was almost like a deer in headlights because they too didn't know the answer because they're just regurgitating what they've
mm-hmm.
learned. And and the answer was always because God created it that way.
Right.
And I was like, but
What does that even mean?
why? It's
Yeah.
there's got to be more to it than that. Like I don't see him just kind of waving a magic wand and going, okay, I'm just going to create this today. Why? And
Right.
so I was always that person. I'm like, okay, but why? Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, explain it to me. So yeah, I think they were really happy when they handed me my degree and they were like, get out.
Too many questions. Yeah.
Yeah, but um but I do feel that because like my son has also chose the traditional path. He's at a university and
Mhm.
he's curious too. So he'll learn something, he'll come back to me. He's like, he always says, my teachers are stupid. Like, I don't understand why they can't explain this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, like it's like, welcome to institution. Like,
That's exactly it. It's
yeah.
the world is not I say this loosely, but it's also true. The world itself, generally speaking, is not set up for spiritual enlightenment.
Hmm.
It's set up for consumerism. And once you break out of that mindset and you become a producer of your own energy, you become a emanator of your frequency. You're not consuming as much. I mean that in all ways. Then you become kind of this anomaly in the system.
Hmm.
And so teachers, professors, they're, even astrology. If you go to a college and you want to talk to an astrologer, he's going to tell you the traditional things. So our cosmology is all off. So, you really have to let go of all this stuff in order to enter into a deeper state of consciousness where what I say, the stillness resides, right? And then you find the movement in the stillness, which is you exploring the stillness. And it's like through that, you discover, whoa, this has been here the whole time. This is what they don't want me to see. This is what they don't want me to feel. They don't want me to realize that my dreams can act as portals into, or that I can astral travel, or that I can airbend and charge the field and have the things we can do is absolutely beautiful and phenomenal, you know.
Yeah. I totally, I 100% agree. Um, so when you're talking about that stillness, is that sitting in meditation? Like, is that what you're meaning by that? Or, maybe just sitting quiet?
Uh, Both. It's a state of being, it's a state of mind that you can definitely experience from deep states of meditation. That's what some people call nirvana, but it's really getting into that zero point, or that really breaking it down. You shift your brain waves.
Mhm.
You shift literally your brain waves and go into a much slower form. I mean, wave pattern. In that slow wave pattern is where more information is, right? So it's like right now we're probably in anywhere between beta and alpha because we're kind of talking about some high level things. And so if you pay attention, Kelly, you'll be able to access information that you probably can't while talking to your son
Mhm.
because the field at that time is just different. So the stillness is a state of being that one can tap into, and really it's always present with us. It's a matter of, again, having the atmosphere to experience it, which is the key. You have to have the atmosphere, whether sitting by a river, under a tree, corner of your house, but somewhere where you can really just be for a moment.
So I started this new thing, especially when I go out into the world, because I'm
Mhm.
very sensitive to the energies that are in it. So I'm kind of like squirrel, like all over the place sometimes.
I love that. Yeah.
So, and it was actually this course that I was taking, and they had suggested putting like earplugs in, not the kind that block out all the sound because you need it, right?
Mm.
But it's interesting because I thought, oh, I'll give it a shot. And then like I went out there and I did have like the coolest experience because I mean I could still hear. So I keep me safe so I don't step out in front of a car or something.
Right, right.
But it was so neat because it really, the way that it did, it really forced me to go
Mm.
inside
I
myself.
love that. I
And I
love that.
really started hearing even more because I often hear, like I hear frequencies all
Mhm.
the time. But the moment that I put them in and I stepped outside to, I was walking, just wanting to be out with the trees and everything, the frequency became so potent. Like not
I need
only
these
could I,
headphones.
yeah, like it was like I could feel it. I was experiencing it. I was getting so much information. And I
Wow.
thought, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? You know what I mean?
That's so good.
It was just incredible. And that might not work for everybody, but it was such an intense experience that I had that now it's like I crave it because
Mm.
it was really true. Like I was connecting to everything. Like I could hear like the breathing of the trees. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it
Mhm.
was
Oh, I
just
did.
so
Yeah.
intense like that.
Wow.
But it was a really beautiful experience. So the reason I say that is because of course everybody's stillness and how they experience it is different,
Right.
but like I had never experienced stillness or really stepping into my being
Mhm.
in such an intense way. It was
Wow.
it was pretty neat. I'm so glad that I picked up on that part. I'm all
Well,
earbuds. I'm gonna buy some
yeah.
earbuds. I'm gonna try it.
Well, it's that's really helpful because it's like that's part of the game is that you literally don't have a moment to think for yourself. Like even when you're getting gas, you go to the gas station and there's music playing. And
Hmm.
it's like, why is that? Because they don't want you, they whatever. They don't want you to have these moments of self-realization because the source, the medium, the ether, nature is always present. It doesn't go anywhere. The best you can do is distract people from it, right? And so you putting those earbuds in help you mitigate all the external frequencies so that the real thing could really speak. And that is really cool. I love that. I love that you shared that.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. So now
Mm-hmm.
I'm like every morning I'm gonna put them in, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna step outside and really just experience, I'm gonna say, the trueness of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, not, not all the
Right.
noise,
Right.
so it was a really cool experience. Thank you for
So
letting me
good.
share that and
Yeah.
what you were
Thanks for sharing.
sharing. So um, okay, we're gonna in just a bit we're gonna see if anybody who is on here with us has any questions. But you know what? We've been talking about we've been talking about like the ethers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, as we're talking about the ethers and we're breaking down those concepts, what is your view on like ascended masters, angels, spirit
Mm.
guides, and as it relates to ether
Yeah.
physics?
So as it relates to ether physics, everything is one conglomeration of pure potential energy. And literally everything is its own, it's all one mind, if you could say.
Mhm.
And it's not one mind that's sitting in something, it's like the all, right? So within that, um, we all are equals because we all are that source. We all are emanations of that principle. So it's like I was doing this with my daughter this morning. I had a whiteboard and I drew a dot on the whiteboard. And I said, I drew a line. I said, okay, that's gorillas, that's humans, that's turtles, that's something else. But it's all coming from this singular idea of that original mind, right? So what happens is, let's say a human is going along their journey and they come into a field of awareness within themselves, and some people start to glorify them, and that's not the point. I personally don't. I don't talk to ascended masters. I don't talk to, um, because again, people don't understand that most of those narratives, when it comes to ascended masters, angels, spirit guides, it's controlled opposition. They are literally given to you on a silver platter and say, "Hey, here's Archangel Michael," but it's like, man. So we're gonna go here for better or worse, but because we can't talk about ascended masters without talking about the concept of where that came from, which is really extraterrestrials and other people from other spaces and planets, you could even say. And so there are other people, humans like us, who live in other star systems, who care about what's happening on this planet, who have tried to help out over time. Unfortunately, they were glorified and be like, oh, they're just chill people. And so there isn't like there's an archangel that is doing anything on the behalf of humanity. To be honest, it is the soul, the consciousness that is saving itself and projecting outside of itself a form of a benevolent savior. And my message to people is comprehend how your frequency works, comprehend how to manage your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your shadow side, right? And through that, you will become the arch or the arc angle. You start to look at things from a different angle, and you could say you're ascending, but you're not ascending to a different dimension. You're ascending your lower thoughts and feelings in forms of identity. So you become the ascended master. There's no external ascended master other than you realizing yourself as you go along your path. So um, I know that's not a popular opinion at all because I see it all over the place, but I'm not here to be popular. So
No, I do love that. Because one of the things that I have struggled with, um, especially I'll go back to even when I went to the Christian college, where like they would glorify angels and they're beautiful, but like there was always a part of me that I was in, even when, if I'm connecting with my guides, right? I
mhm.
never feel like they're I always kind of feel like we're equal. Like we're just on this
Exactly.
equal playing field
Exactly.
and you're giving me guidance. Maybe I'm giving you guidance, however it works. Not
Hmm.
saying that it's not beautiful, not saying that, taking away from that, but
Yeah.
um, it's just
Well, there's
nobody's
this.
better than anybody.
Exactly.
If we just put it bluntly, like none of us
That's
are better than
exactly.
anyone. We all can reach this, we can reach whatever level we want to be at.
Exactly.
The
That's
question is, what level do
exactly
you want to
it.
be at? Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is, again, people feel such spiritual dissonance because there's not right education. We used to have temples, like in star temples. I'm bringing those back, by the way, where we would study this stuff. We would study consciousness because that's like, could you imagine being you're just pure awareness. There's not gonna be anything else to do except for just to learn yourself, to explore yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's not gonna be a guru, guide, angel, not well, angels or all that. You realize yourself, so you're like, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do? And that's how schools and temples used to be set up, and that's what the ancient sites used to be for. Stargates, everything expands into the cosmos. It really does. And what that means is that there's other people, like I keep saying, who have discovered these things too. And so for someone like you, Kelly, who's drawn to this stuff, you probably do have guides who are telepathic, who are literally just people. They eat, they go to the bathroom, they have families, and they're a part of your soul team, right? And
Hmm.
we all have those kinds of guides. So it's like, again, reality is way more malleable, way more grounded and tangible than we have been led to believe. So yeah.
Well, and I think it's been so ingrained in us to believe that there has to be somebody that is always above us,
Right.
always somebody that's better. Like they're the ones that are really in control. So,
Mm.
and I think like when I hear that, there's that part of me that instantly rebels because I'm like, well, why? Like,
Mm.
why do you feel like you need to be in control of me? So I can feel the little rowdy side in me start to come out, but
Yeah,
like I do believe that's true. Like, but that's what we've been conditioned to believe, which I feel
exactly.
also falls into what you were talking about, that very controlled narrative, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank
Oof.
you for sharing that. Are you ready? Should we see if they have any questions or
Yeah.
want to share anything? So,
Hmm.
all of you guys that are, like that, ladies, sorry, all the ladies that we have, do you guys have any questions or comments that you want to ask Krys, or, you know,
Yeah.
the floor
Questions are
is,
great. There's no like right or wrong. I actually operate much better when people ask questions. So
yeah. Do
I'm
you guys,
here.
oh, I'm sorry, Krys, I talked over you.
You're good.
Do you guys have any questions that you're wanting to ask? Let me pull up the chat. I know some people, they don't want to come off their mic. So do you guys have anything in the chat? Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna read the chat is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
go for it. Yep. Yep.
So Nikki had commented, and I don't read. Oh, when we were talking about magic, she says, yes, I remember the month before I signed up for my first healing program. I was led to watch an episode from the show Naruto. I hope I said that
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Sakura's medical healing with chi.
Mm-hmm.
So she was saying magic is real in the shows that we watch.
Right. Yes.
Um,
So I first off, Naruto is an awesome anime. I love that. And all the mudras that they do, right? The hand, like all that stuff is real. And just on a quick note of chi in healing. So those of you who are watching, and this is one of my go-tos, I love doing this with people, but if you take your hands, you just go like this, just like even right now.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you're gonna feel and just put your awareness like in the middle of this space right here,
Hmm.
even for like 12 seconds. Do you feel anything?
Mm-hmm.
So you can start to feel your fingertips start to like buzz. It's like, what's like, why?
Yep.
Right? Like, what is that? That's your chi. And the more that you focus, the stronger it gets. And so you can direct that. Like, that's the power that you have. It's just literally sitting right there. And so through meditation, when you sit with in specific mudras or you do different symbols with your hands, what you're doing is you are animating different meridians and energy pathways in your physical body. You're helping energy flow in different ways. It's like you have these highways, right? And so I practice something called Jin Shin Do, which is a form of acupressure. So depending on what the person's going through, what they're feeling, um, a certain light touch met with compassion can transmute a lot. And so, Nikki, yes, healing in that way could be considered magic to people who don't know what I just shared. It's like, whoa, how come whenever you just put your hand on my back, my headache went away? It's because we understand how to work with energy. We understand how to work with chi or the life force. So, yeah, I love that, Nikki.
Oh, her response was cool.
This is cool. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, yeah, do any of you guys have any other comments or any questions? Oh, she said thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any questions or comments or anything that you want to hear more from that Krys has shared? Because we can make him elaborate more.
I'd prefer to. Um, I think something while they're I do feel like someone has a question. They're probably getting ready to type it. But something that I think is really important too is like as we realize that as we expand our consciousness and release old thoughts and ideas, that we get introduced to new things, right? We start to expand in a new direction. And a lot of times that can feel daunting and kind of unnerving because the foundation that you're used to is no longer the foundation that you're used to.
Mhm.
And so I just want to remind people that on the journey of self realization and coming into higher forms of consciousness, you're going to be met with resistance. The same way that if you have a piece of paper, you draw, I don't know, a shape on a piece of paper and you take the eraser and you start to erase it. There's all that resistance and all that tension and da 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 da. But then it's a clean slate. Then you get to draw something else. So let yourselves be undone in order to be redone and, kind of, I was going to say be born again from the Christian days, but essentially that's, you're coming into a new version of yourself. Um, that felt important. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Um, so she put another
Mhm.
question in. She wants to know if you could please talk more about the touch points of energy. And then she wants to know, is it a specific methodology we can use on ourselves?
Yes. So there is So I'll answer your question with an experience. So one time I was really sick. I've not been like sick like this in years, but the last time I was, I don't take any over the counter medications. I don't do any of that stuff. It's all energy and teas and getting out in nature. But the one night I just was feeling awful, and intuitively I started to just kind of do these different points on my body, all the way down to my toes, right? And within I don't know how much time went by, I started to sweat. And then like after I sweated everything out, I felt great. But nothing worked until I started to do what I at that time called press these reset points. And so this is something you can do on yourself intuitively. The body and the soul are essentially the body's an expression of your consciousness. So you already kind of have the awareness. It's about removing the thinking mind, like, oh, am I doing it right? But second part of your question, it's a practice that I later found out called Jin Shindo. And it was from a woman, I forget her name, but she developed this technique that I use. I think it's wonderful. And something that I like to do every single day, just to give you a few points, is like in the center of your palms is your heart meridian. So whenever you are massaging your palms, you're actually activating your heart, and it goes all the way down into here. And this is if you're having big emotions, you can massage your wrists. If you watch people, people will naturally touch different parts of their body when they feel certain emotions, right? That's because they're either trying to protect that energy or, they want to emanate that energy. So this is like, I would say, medium level magic, not high level, but medium level magic is understanding what the different points in our body do. There's also a point right here. I think it's called the L4. This is kind of like one of the master points. You massage here, it gets really sensitive. It kind of hurts, but this is good for literally anything. You're feeling emotional. You have a headache. You have a sore throat. It's kind of like a knock, knock, knock to your white blood cells in your immune system to really start to come online. So there's there's a bunch. The body's amazing when you really get into it.
You know what? It really is. When I was younger, I used to get migraine headaches all the time.
Me
And I,
too, by the way. That's
and
interesting.
yeah, and I didn't understand why. And they would get like I would go, they would give me medications, it wasn't working. And no joke, where I learned this was I was getting a pedicure and I had a migraine, but it always felt good to have my feet massaged when I
Mhm.
wasn't feeling well. And the girl who was doing it, she was looking at me and I was probably making so many stupid faces, right? Because I'm having this pain and I'm trying to get this
Mm.
done. And she had asked me what was wrong. And I told her I'm having a migraine headache. She stopped and that's exactly what she did. She started massaging the inside here and then just rubbing
Mhm.
it out my thumb.
Mhm. Mhm.
Within 5 minutes, I like my headache was gone. And she told me she was like, this is where your energy gets stuck. And
Wow.
that was all that she did. So I've never forgotten that. So when I get
Wow.
really bad headaches, I sit there and I rub. And
Mhm.
sometimes, like, I mean, I may not be able to get rid of all of it, but it's never as bad as when it
Yeah.
first hits.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting. Like, she didn't say anything. She just stood up and she just started rubbing my hands. And it was just like, I was like, oh, like I couldn't have felt any better.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and that's interesting that you brought up emotions because I did notice that. A lot of my background is working with people in trauma. So when you work with them, I oftentimes see them like, you're watching them and I'm like, why are they rubbing their arm? But
Mhm.
I always kind of chalked it up as like it was like a soothing thing for them. But now that you say that, I'm like, that makes sense when I kind of go back thinking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can learn not a lot from watching people and just observing. And I mean, this is stuff that like a lot of quote the elites know and they use. Like that's everyone talks about, oh, they did this hand sign or that hand sign and they think it's evil. It's like, no, really, they're actually just channeling and moving energy.
Mhm.
They're showing you your own power, but in this kind of convoluted way. But it's like we all do this. I mean, what's one of the first things that we do? We hit our knee, we say, ow, right? So we go like that sound itself, right? It draws in a lot of energy. Then we go, ow. That's a tone, that's a healing frequency, right?
Mhm.
And then we take our hands and we put it on the place that hurts because the hands are now the conduit for that ow,
Mhm.
right? And we put it there and it starts to feel better. So no one said, hey, when you next time you get hurt, make this sound and do this with your hands. We all just do it across the board. So there's these hardwired things that we do naturally that it's all magic and it's all just about energy flow. That's why frequency management, ether physics is like for me the top shelf of um, spirituality because we're really getting into how things work in a fundamental way.
Mhm. Oh, I love it. Okay, so she just said I was just going to ask about the hand signs, the fingertips touching, facing downward. So,
Um, I'm not sure. Does she mean this one? Hmm. So there's this one. A lot of people like so. This one is actually from. This is actually a really cool sign. It's called the Shemesh. It's Hebrew, right? And it means basically like sons of the sun or or spirits of the sun, right? And it's like this is something that the controllers want have used and like confiscated and now use as like the Illuminati symbol and all that stuff, right? So it's like they'll take the truth and they'll flip it and they'll use it for something nefarious when really there's nothing wrong with it to begin with. But yeah, go ahead. I think Nikki was saying something. Was she clarifying something in the chat?
Yes, she said yes, they flip it upside down. Are you talking about the Illuminati, Nikki, flipping it upside down? Oh, she's
No,
off.
but it was, yeah.
Oh, there you are. Hey, Nikki. Yeah, join the party. Let's rock.
Hi, I don't know if you can see me. So like I do notice that because they were saying like with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, they do something like this, but they flip it like upside down or something. I don't know how they do it, but they flip it upside down. And I don't
Here,
know.
let me see. Because I have a specific mudra that I like to do. I actually go like this, and I hold it here like this. Is it something like this?
Oh yeah. What does
So,
that mean? Because I do see all the big powerful people doing that, like when they're
oh,
in
that's good to
conferences
know.
and stuff.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know. So for me, that's actually one of my favorites. So what I do is so your fingers are energy points, right? You have energy nodes at the end of your fingers. Each finger is connected to a major organ in your body. You could call it a chakra if you want. And you'll notice that when you hold them, you'll feel different things in your body depending on how you're holding them, right? So for me, I like to work with my brain. I like to work with my awareness and my consciousness. So whenever I do this, I know that I'm activating my brain and really bringing everything together. And when I do this, you're closing the circuit. And this could also be like seen like as a womb, and it's just creative energy. Right? So I sit here like this, whatever I'm focusing on amplifies. And so for me, this is like one of the most powerful mudras that I use because this is um yeah, I see it as like a mudra for harnessing your innate power and amplifying what it is that you're looking to bring forward into the world. So that's personally how I do it. I have no idea what Elon or anyone else is doing. I didn't know they did that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like when you start to tap in, you start to figure things out. Then later you're like, oh shoot, they're doing that too. You know. So thank you, Nikki.
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing.
Yeah, does that help? Does that help?
It does. Yeah. And it does feel like it closes the loop of energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you feel it. I mean, I feel it, and it kind of like you have a spiral. I don't really get into the Kundalini, but the torus flows right around your body, and as it does kind of spiral up. And for me, this is kind of activating that center column that would lead to the, as Buddhists say, like the thousand petal lotus of enlightenment. So it's man, this is ether physics right here. It's like the best way I can describe it is by sharing it.
Yeah. No, this is amazing because I'm sitting here with this and I can feel it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like rising up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing that every morning when I go into my quiet time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's amazing.
It's good stuff, and you know you can get really intricate. And the thing is, the more you work with your own energy, you will start to teach yourself. A lot of the things I've done is self-taught. Like
Mhm.
no one taught me how to do this. I actually looked it up, and I guess it does have a specific name, but I didn't know that. I just was trusting what I was feeling,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I try. That's what I want people to understand is that like books are great, you know, guidance is great, but is true guidance, and a teacher is going to lead you back to yourself and help you realize that you have this within you and help you set up the atmosphere where you can experience yourself because
Mhm.
you're going to teach yourself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we are our best teachers. I mean, that's the truth.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh gosh, Krys, I could continue talking on and on all
I
day.
know. I know.
This has been so much fun. Okay, so let's share the gift that you put up for donation. It's your either ether physics basic principles. Would you
Mhm.
like to talk a little bit more about that? So that
Yeah. I'll try to, you know, respect to your time, although time we know time's not a Anyways, I'm kidding. So Ether Physics Basic Principles is a short PDF, and I go over concepts that are going to help you integrate what we talked about today. So it can seem really big and daunting, but I broke this down into understanding simple one-line sentences that bring forth clarity to you. So it's like I say things like time is not a constant. Um, Gravity is just a flow of consciousness, like things like that, so that you can start to just to think about this stuff and let it like percolate and then come back to it later once it's integrated. So yeah, just some things to think about and help you along the way.
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for wanting to share that. And just a reminder that I will encourage everybody to grab his donation gift. We do ask that if you to please donate at least a minimum of $25. It's going to a good cause. It's going towards scholarships and loans and funding and education and just ways to help just help women become more expansive, really step into their leadership and be visible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's all, I mean, I want everybody to be visible, but really help women just be visible and and it's really supporting those that may be in a position where they might not be able to have the means to do it. So we can give that to them. We can pay that forward. So that's all I've got for everyone today. Krys, thank you so much. This has been such a fun time with you.
Yeah.
Uh, I've really enjoyed our time together. So thank you so much
You're
for.
welcome, and thank you everyone who joined and who will be watching the recording. Yeah, I mean we could do it again. I'm open to it, and I appreciate all that you're sharing and doing for the world. Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. You have to come back on
Yeah.
because I feel like there's so much more that we can talk about and expand on and just learn from you. So please, I'm like, this is your open invitation to come back whenever you want. So
Thank
thank
you. Thank
you.
you. Yeah.
All
Cool.
right. Thank you, everybody who joined us, everybody who is on the call, everybody who is watching live, and anybody who watches later. Thank you so much for just being here and being part of this beautiful energy that we created today in our co-creation of what we talked about. And until next time, everyone, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, wherever you're at. So thank you.
Ooh.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
I want to make sure that I